He humiliated a black maid. Now the Korean Mafia boss is obsessed. Min Hyun-ki didn't notice servants. To him, they were furniture, useful when needed, invisible otherwise. As the youngest Mafia boss in Seoul's history, he'd built his reputation on ruthlessness and precision. At 29, he controlled half the city's underground empire with an iron fist and zero tolerance for weakness. The charity auction at the Grand Shilla Hotel was pure theater. Rich people pretending to care about poor people while showing off their wealth. Hyun-ki attended only because refusing would seem suspicious to the politicians he owned. He was discussing a weapons shipment with a Russian contact when someone bumped his elbow. Champagne splashed across his custom Tom Ford suit. $15,000 ruined in an instant. Hyun-ki turned slowly. A young black woman in a maid's uniform stood frozen, empty tray in her trembling hands. Her name tag read Zara. She couldn't have been more than 23, with natural curls pulled back tight and eyes wide with terror. "I'm so sorry, sir," she whispered. "I didn't see." "You didn't see?" Hyun-ki's voice was dangerously quiet. The entire room went silent, sensing blood in the water. "Or you're simply too incompetent to do your job properly?" Zara's jaw tightened, but she kept her head down. "It was an accident. I apologize." Something about her controlled anger intrigued him. But Hyun-ki buried that thought immediately. He was about to destroy her completely. "Look at me when I'm speaking to you," Hyun-ki commanded. Zara's eyes lifted. They weren't afraid anymore. They were furious. Dark brown and blazing with barely contained rage. For a moment, Hyun-ki forgot what he was going to say. Then his pride kicked in. He couldn't let a maid challenge him publicly. "This suit costs more than you make in a year," he said coldly, making sure everyone could hear. "Probably more than your entire family makes. Do you understand the value of what you've just destroyed?" "I understand that accidents happen," Zara replied quietly. "And I've apologized. What more do you want?" The audacity shocked him. Servants didn't talk back, especially not to him. "I want you fired," Hyun-ki said simply. He turned to the hotel manager hovering nearby. "This level of incompetence is unacceptable. Remove her immediately." The manager nodded frantically. "Of course, Mr. Min. Right away." Zara's face went pale, but she didn't beg. She straightened her spine, looked Hyun-ki directly in the eyes, and said something that would haunt him for months. "You're cruel because you can be, not because you have to be. That's the difference between power and character." Then she walked away with her head high, leaving her tray and her job behind. Hyun-ki stood there, champagne still dripping from his sleeve, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Shame. And worse, fascination. 3 days later, Hyun-ki couldn't stop thinking about her. It was ridiculous. He'd humiliated dozens of people over the years and never thought twice. But Zara's words kept echoing in his mind. Power and character. As if he lacked the latter. He told himself he was just curious. That's why he had his assistant pull the hotel's employment records. That's why he learned her full name was Zara Johnson, an American working in Seoul on a teaching visa that had expired. She'd taken the maid job to avoid deportation while sorting out her paperwork. That's why he found himself parked outside the tiny boarding house where she lived, watching her come home at midnight from whatever new job she'd found. She looked exhausted. Her shoulders sagged as she climbed the stairs, carrying grocery bags that seemed too heavy. Hyun-ki noticed everything. The worn sneakers, the thin jacket despite the cold, the way she paused on the landing to catch her breath. "This is insane," he muttered to himself. "She's nobody." But as he watched her disappear into her room, a light flickering on in the window, Hyun-ki admitted the truth. She wasn't nobody. She was brave enough to call him out when no one else dared. She had dignity even in defeat. And those eyes. His phone rang. Business. A territory dispute that needed his attention. Hyun-ki drove away, but he knew he'd be back. The obsession had already started. Zara's new job was at a 24-hour convenience store in Itaewon. The pay was terrible, the hours worse, but it kept her fed while she figured out her next move. Going back to America meant admitting defeat. Staying meant fighting for survival. She was restocking shelves when the door chimed. Zara looked up and froze. Min Hyun-ki stood in the entrance, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit among the instant noodles and cheap beer. Their eyes met, and Zara saw something flicker across his face before his usual cold mask returned. "You," she said flatly. "Come to get me fired from this job too?" I came to buy cigarettes, Hyun-ki lied. He didn't smoke. Registers up front. Zara turned back to her work, dismissing him. Hyun-ki should have left. Instead, he found himself walking to where she knelt, organizing energy drinks. How much do they pay you here? None of your business. I'm guessing minimum wage. Maybe less, since your visa situation makes you desperate. He paused. I have a proposition. Zara laughed bitterly. I'm not interested in whatever disgusting offer you're about to make. It's a job. Legitimate. Hyun-ki pulled out a business card. I own a cultural center. We need an English coordinator. $25,000 a month, full benefits, visa sponsorship. Zara stared at the card like it might bite her. Why would you help me after what you did? Maybe I'm trying to prove I have character, Hyun-ki said quietly. Their eyes met again, and something electric passed between them. Zara took the card. The cultural center was beautiful, a modern building in Gangnam with art studios, language classrooms, and a small theater. Hyun-ki's assistant, an efficient woman named Ms. Park, showed Zara around on her first day. Mr. Min rarely visits here, Ms. Park explained. He owns it, but the daily operations run independently. You'll report to me. Relief washed over Zara. She could take the job without constantly facing the man who'd humiliated her. But that evening, as she was organizing her new office, Hyun-ki appeared in the doorway. Settling in? He asked. Zara jumped. I thought you didn't come here often. I don't. Usually. He stepped inside, hands in his pockets. I wanted to make sure you had everything you needed. Why are you really doing this? Zara asked bluntly. Guilt? Some kind of power trip? Hyun-ki was quiet for a moment. You call me cruel. You were right. I didn't like being right. So this is about your ego. Yes. His honesty surprised them both. But it's also about giving you what you deserved, a chance. Zara studied him, trying to understand this complicated man. I don't forgive you for what you did. The humiliation. Getting me fired. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Hyun-ki moved toward the door, then paused. Just a chance to be better. After he left, Zara sat in her new office, holding the business card he'd given her days ago. She should throw it away. Should keep her distance. Instead, she tucked it carefully into her wallet. 2 weeks passed. Zara excelled at her job, bringing energy and creativity to the cultural center's English programs. Student enrollment doubled. Ms. Park praised her constantly. And Hyun-ki started showing up 3 times a week. He always had an excuse, checking on renovations, meeting with investors, reviewing budgets. But Zara noticed he always found a reason to stop by her office. You're doing excellent work, he said one evening, finding her alone after classes ended. Thank you. Zara didn't look up from her computer. Have you eaten dinner? Now she looked up. Are you asking me to dinner? I'm asking if you've eaten. There's a difference. But his slight smile suggested otherwise. Zara leaned back in her chair. Mr. Min, what exactly is happening here? I don't know, Hyun-ki admitted. The vulnerability in his voice was startling. I told myself I was just making amends. But I think about you constantly. I find excuses to come here. I want to know everything about you. That's called obsession, Zara said carefully. I know. He stepped closer. And it scares me because I don't get obsessed with people. I use them or ignore them. But you're different. Zara's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. You humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. You got me fired. You can't just erase that with a job and some pretty words. You're right. Hyun-ki's eyes were intense. So tell me how to make it right. Tell me what you need, and I'll give it to you. The air between them crackled with tension. Zara stood slowly. I need time. And space. And for you to prove you're not just obsessed, that you actually respect me. Hyun-ki nodded. I can do that. But as he left, they both knew the truth. This was just beginning. Hyun-ki kept his distance for exactly 5 days. It was torture. He threw himself into work, territory negotiations, weapons deals, silencing a politician who'd forgotten who owned him. But even covered in someone else's blood, he thought about Zara's eyes, her voice, the way she challenged him. You're distracted, his second-in-command, Kong, observed during a meeting. That's dangerous. I'm fine, Hyun-ki snapped. He wasn't fine. He was unraveling. On the 6th day, he broke. He showed up at the cultural center with takeout from Seoul's best Korean restaurant. Zara looked up from her desk, surprised. You lasted almost a week. I brought food. As an apology for existing. Hyun-ki set down the bags. And because you probably haven't eaten today. He was right. She hadn't. The smell of bulgogi and kimchi made her stomach growl. This is bribery, Zara said, but she was already pulling out containers. Absolutely. Hyun-ki sat across from her. Is it working? They ate in comfortable silence. Then Zara asked the question that had been haunting her. What do you really do, Hyun-ki? And don't say business consulting. He could have lied. Should have lied. Instead, he said, I run the Min organization. We control most of Seoul's underground economy. Drugs, weapons, protection, smuggling. I'm a criminal, Zara. A very successful one. Zara set down her chopsticks. You're telling me this why? Because you deserve the truth before this goes any further. Before what goes further? Her voice was barely a whisper. Hyun-ki leaned forward, his eyes burning into hers. Before I fall completely in love with you. Zara should have run. She should have quit, left Seoul, never looked back. Instead, she said, tell me everything. They talked until midnight. Hyun-ki explained his world, the violence, the power, the moral compromises. He didn't sugarcoat or justify. He gave her the ugly truth. I've killed people, he said quietly. Ordered deaths. Destroyed lives. I'm not a good man, Zara. Then why do you run a cultural center? Why help people? Because my mother wanted me to. For the first time, emotion cracked his voice. Before she died, she made me promise to build something good. Something that helped people. This center is my promise to her. Zara saw it then, the human beneath the monster. The son who loved his mother. The man trying to honor a dying wish while running an empire of blood. I should be terrified of you, she whispered. But you're not. Hyun-ki reached across the desk, his fingers brushing hers. Why aren't you? Because I see you. Not the boss, not the criminal. The man who feels guilty about humiliating a maid. Who keeps his promises to his dead mother. Who's afraid of his own feelings. Hyun-ki stood abruptly, moving around the desk. He pulled Zara to her feet, his hands gentle despite their strength. I want to kiss you, he said roughly. But I need you to want it too. Zara's breath caught. Every logical thought screamed at her to say no. But her heart, her foolish, reckless heart, whispered yes. She rose on her toes and kissed him first. The kiss was explosive. 5 weeks of tension, anger, and unspoken desire poured into it. Hyun-ki pulled Zara closer, one hand tangling in her curls, the other at the small of her back. She gripped his shirt, matching his intensity. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Zara laughed shakily. This is insane. Completely, Hyun-ki agreed. His forehead rested against hers. You should run from me. Probably. But she didn't move away. So what now? Now I make myself worthy of you. He cupped her face. I can't change what I am, Zara. But I can change how I treat people. Starting with never humiliating anyone like I humiliated you. That's a start. Zara's hands covered his. But I need more than words. I need to see it. Over the next month, Zara watched Hyun-ki transform. He hired former offenders at the cultural center, giving them real second chances. He stopped his men from shaking down small businesses in poor neighborhoods. He still ran his criminal empire, but with a new code. Minimize harm, protect the vulnerable, never punch down. His organization noticed. Some approved. Others whispered that love had made him weak. His enemies noticed too. One evening, Zara received a text from an unknown number. A photo of her and Hyun-ki kissing, followed by a message. The Min boss has a weakness now. How unfortunate for her. Zara stared at her phone, ice flooding her veins. She was about to become a target. Hyun-ki's reaction to the threat was immediate and terrifying. Within an hour, Zara had 4 bodyguards. Her apartment was swept for bugs and cameras. Security footage from every camera within a mile was analyzed. This is my fault, Hyun-ki said, pacing his penthouse where he'd insisted she stay. I made you visible. I put you at risk. I chose this, Zara reminded him. I knew what you were. Knowing and experiencing are different. He stopped pacing, looking tormented. Maybe we should end this. For your safety. Zara stood, anger flashing. Don't you dare. Don't you dare make my choices for me. She crossed to him. I'm not some fragile thing you need to protect by pushing away. I'm a partner. So we face this together, or not at all. Hyun-ki pulled her into his arms, breathing in her scent. I can't lose you. Then don't let them win. Zara pulled back to look at him. Who sent the threat? Probably the Choi family. They've been trying to take my territory for months. Hyun-ki's jaw tightened. They think you're my weakness. Then let's prove them wrong. Zara's eyes glinted with determination. Show them I make you stronger, not weaker. Pride swelled in Hyun-Ki's chest. You're incredible. I know. She smiled. Now tell me the plan. What Hyun-Ki didn't tell her was that he'd already ordered a hit on anyone connected to the threat. He'd burned Seoul to the ground before letting anyone hurt her. The war had already begun. The Choi family made their move 3 days later. Zara was leaving the cultural center when a black van pulled up. 2 men grabbed her before her bodyguards could react. They'd been drugged, she realized later. A cloth covered her mouth. Chemical smell. Darkness. When Zara woke, she was tied to a chair in a warehouse. A man in his 50s sat across from her, smoking a cigarette. Behind him stood 6 armed men. Miss Johnson, the man said in English. I'm Choi Sung-jin. You've become quite inconvenient. Zara's head pounded, but she kept her voice steady. Kidnapping me is a death sentence. You know that, right? Perhaps. But Min Hyun-Ki has been too bold lately. Refusing our offers, killing our men, expanding into our territory. He needs to be reminded that everyone has weaknesses. Choi smiled coldly. You're his. You're wrong. Zara met his eyes. I'm not his weakness. I'm his reason to be absolutely merciless. Choi laughed. Brave words from a tied-up woman. Not bravery. Fact. Zara leaned forward as much as her restraints allowed. Hyun-Ki has rules now. Lines he won't cross. But you took me. You broke the only rule that matters to him. So when he comes, and he will come, there won't be rules anymore. There will just be vengeance. Something flickered in Choi's eyes. Uncertainty. He cares about you that much? Choi asked. He's obsessed with me, Zara replied. And obsessed men are the most dangerous kind. As if summoned, explosions rocked the warehouse. Gunfire erupted. Choi's men scrambled for weapons. Hyun-Ki had arrived. Hyun-Ki moved through the warehouse like death itself. He'd brought 30 men, but he was leading from the front, something he never did. He'd lost his cold calculation. He was pure fury. Where is she? He roared, shooting a guard in the leg. Where is she? Kong fought beside him, worried. He'd never seen his boss like this. Wild, desperate, reckless. Love had made him dangerous in a whole new way. They cleared room after room. Bodies fell. Finally, Hyun-Ki kicked open a door and saw Zara tied to a chair, Choi holding a gun to her head. Don't move, Choi warned, or she dies. Hyun-Ki froze. His gun pointed at Choi, but one wrong move would kill Zara. He met her eyes across the room. She looked terrified but unbroken. Let her go, Hyun-Ki said, his voice deadly calm. Take me instead. You think I'm stupid? Choi pressed the gun harder against Zara's temple. You've killed half my men. Why would I let either of you leave? Because if you kill her, I'll spend the rest of my life destroying everything you love. Hyun-Ki's eyes were black ice. Your family, your businesses, your legacy, gone. I'll make sure your name becomes a cautionary tale. You'd start a war over one woman? I'd end the world for her, Hyun-Ki replied simply. Zara's breath caught. In that moment, seeing Hyun-Ki's absolute devotion, she understood the depth of his obsession. It should have scared her. Instead, it made her feel invincible. He means it, Zara told Choi. So you have a choice. Let me go and maybe survive. Or kill me and definitely die. The standoff lasted an eternity and a heartbeat. Then Kang's sniper, positioned on a rooftop across the street, took the shot. The bullet entered Choi's shoulder, spinning him away from Zara. His gun clattered to the floor. Hyun-Ki moved instantly, crossing the room and pulling Zara into his arms while his men secured Choi. Are you hurt? Hyun-Ki's hands shook as he checked her for injuries. I'm okay. I'm okay. Zara clung to him. You came. Always. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Always, always, always. Behind them, Kong approached with Choi restrained. Boss, what do you want done with him? Hyun-Ki looked at the man who dared to touch Zara. Every instinct screamed to kill him slowly, make him suffer. But then he felt Zara's hand on his chest, right over his racing heart. Show me you've changed, she whispered. Show me you're better than this. Hyun-Ki closed his eyes, warring with himself. Finally, he said, take him to the basement. I'll deal with him after I get Zara home. Hyun-Ki, Choi started. Speak again, and I'll forget my mercy, Hyun-Ki snarled. He lifted Zara into his arms and carried her out of the warehouse, leaving his men to clean up. In the car, Zara finally let herself shake. The terror caught up, and she buried her face in Hyun-Ki's chest. He held her tight. murmuring Korean words she didn't understand but felt were promises. I was so scared, she admitted. So was I. His voice broke. Zara, I can't do this anymore. I can't put you in danger. Don't, she warned. Don't you dare push me away now. But she saw the decision forming in his eyes, and her heart cracked. Hyun-ki took Zara to his penthouse, made sure she ate and showered, then sat her down with devastating gentleness. I'm sending you back to America, he said. New identity, enough money to start over. You'll be safe. Zara's laugh was bitter. You think I'll just go? Just leave. You have to. Being with me almost got you killed tonight. And being with you also saved me. Zara grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. I love you, you idiot. I love your complicated, obsessive, trying to be better heart. You don't get to make this choice alone. I love you too. That's why I have to let you go. Hyun-ki's eyes were wet. Loving you is the most selfish thing I've ever done. Now I'm choosing to be selfless. Coward, Zara spat. You're choosing the easy way out. It's harder to stay and fight for us. There is no us without you alive. They stared at each other, both breathing hard. Then Zara did something Hyun-ki never expected. She walked to his desk, pulled out his gun, and handed it to him. Shoot me, she said calmly. Hyun-ki recoiled. What? No. If you really believe I'm better off without you, shoot me now. Because sending me away knowing I love you will kill me anyway. Just slower. Zara, that's not. I'm not going anywhere, Hyun-ki. You can try to force me, but I'll fight you every step. I'll come back. I'll make your life hell until you accept that I choose you. I choose this. I choose us. Her voice softened. Now the question is, do you choose me back? Hyun-ki dropped to his knees, wrapping his arms around her waist. I'm so afraid of losing you. Then keep me close. Make me stronger. Teach me to survive in your world. Zara ran her fingers through his hair. Let me be your partner, not your victim. The next morning, everything changed. Instead of sending Zara away, Hyun-ki did something unprecedented. He brought her to a meeting with his top captains. This is Zara, he announced. She's under my protection. But more than that, she's my partner. My equal. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. The men stared. A woman at the table was unheard of. A foreign woman, even more so. Boss, one captain said carefully, is this wise? After what happened with Choi. What happened with Choi proved something. Hyun-ki's hand found Zara's. I'm more dangerous when I have something to fight for. So yes, she makes me vulnerable. But she also makes me unstoppable. Kong, surprisingly, smiled. The boss is right. I've never seen him fight like he did last night. Like a demon. Slowly, the other men nodded. Respect, if not understanding, crossed their faces. After the meeting, Hyun-ki took Zara to the basement where Choi was held. The man looked up, fearful. I'm letting you live, Hyun-ki said coldly. But you're going to deliver a message. Tell every family in Seoul, Zara Johnson is mine. Touch her, threaten her, even look at her wrong, and I'll show no mercy. No rules. No honor. Just destruction. I understand, Choi whispered. And Choi? If I ever see you in Seoul again, you die. Hyun-ki turned to leave, then paused. Actually, Zara should decide your fate. She's the one you terrorized. All eyes turned to Zara. She studied Choi for a long moment. Let him go, she finally said. But take everything. His businesses, his money, his power. Leave him with nothing but his life and the knowledge that mercy came from the woman he tried to use. Hyun-ki smiled with pure pride. His obsession had found her equal. Life fell into a new rhythm. Zara continued working at the cultural center, but now she also attended Hyun-ki's business meetings. She learned the empire's workings, offered insights, challenged decisions. You're paying protection money to who? She asked one evening, reviewing accounts. The Young family. They control the ports. But you control the warehouses. Why not cut them out and save 30%? Hyun-ki blinked. She was right. Within a week, he'd restructured the operation, saving millions. You're a natural at this, he murmured, kissing her neck as they reviewed more paperwork. I'm good with systems. Turns out criminal empires are just complicated systems. Zara turned in his arms. But I want to use this power for something good too. Like what? Like the cultural center's expansion. We could offer job training for former prisoners, help them go legitimate. Give them what you gave me, a second chance. Hyun-ki was quiet for a moment. Then he said, do it. Use whatever resources you need. The program launched a month later. 20 former criminals got job training, counseling, and placement assistance. Half of them came from rival organizations. It was a radical idea, helping your enemies go straight. You're either brilliant or insane, Khan commented. Both, Zara replied cheerfully. But the program worked. Crime rates in their territories dropped. Community relations improved. And Hyunki's reputation shifted from feared tyrant to complex leader. All because a maid he'd humiliated had shown him there was more to power than cruelty. 6 months after the kidnapping, Hyunki took Zara to Jeju Island. They stayed in a private villa overlooking the ocean, 3 days of peace away from the empire. On the second night, walking on the beach, Hyunki said, "I need to tell you something." Zara's heart jumped. "That sounds ominous." "The night I humiliated you at the hotel, I've replayed it 1,000 times, hating myself more each time." He stopped, taking her hands. "You were right. I was cruel because I could be. Because I'd forgotten what it meant to see people as human." "Hyunki, let me finish." His voice was rough with emotion. "You changed me. Not because you tried to, but because you refused to let me dehumanize you. You looked me in the eye and called me out. You made me feel ashamed. And that shame saved me." Tears streamed down Zara's face. "I forgave you months ago. I know. But I needed you to understand. My obsession with you started as guilt. It became fascination. Then love. Now it's devotion." He dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring. "Marry me. Not because I own you or control you, but because you're the only person who sees all of me and still chooses to stay." Zara pulled him up, kissing him hard. "Yes, yes, yes, yes." The ring slid on perfectly, a simple diamond surrounded by emeralds. "The green reminded me of your dress at the gala," Hyunki explained. The night, everything changed. They made love that night with the ocean sounds as soundtrack. Two broken people who'd somehow made each other whole. The engagement announcement sent shockwaves through Seoul's underworld. The Min boss was marrying a foreigner, a former maid. The gossip was vicious. "Let them talk," Hyunki said when Zara worried. "Their opinions mean nothing." But opinions turned to action when conservative families tried to block the marriage. They claimed it would weaken the organization, dilute the bloodline, bring shame. Hyunki called a summit, every major family in one room. "I'm going to say this once," he began, his voice carrying to every corner. "Zara Johnson will be my wife. She has my respect, my protection, and my authority. Anyone who challenges this challenges me directly." "She's an outsider," one elderly boss argued. "She doesn't understand our ways." "She understands better than any of you," Hyunki shot back. "She's doubled the cultural center's impact. She's reduced violence in our territories. She's helped former criminals go legitimate, which benefits everyone by reducing police attention. What have any of you done except maintain the status quo?" Silence fell. Then Kong stood. "I support the boss. Miss Johnson has proven her worth." One by one, allies stood. Then neutrals. Soon, only a handful of old guard remained seated. "Anyone still opposed can leave my protection," Hyunki said quietly. "Find out how long you survive without it." The remaining few stood reluctantly. After the summit, Zara hugged Hyunki tightly. "You didn't have to threaten them." "Yes, I did. They needed to know you're not negotiable." He kissed her forehead. "You're my line in the sand, Zara. Everything else I'll compromise on. Not you. Never you." The wedding was small, just close friends and trusted associates. Zara wore a simple white dress with traditional Korean elements woven in, a compromise between cultures. Hyunki wore a black suit, but his tie was kente cloth, honoring her heritage. When they exchanged vows, Hyunki's voice broke. "I was lost before you. Cruel because I thought it made me strong. You taught me that real strength is choosing kindness when you have the power to be cruel. I promise to spend every day becoming the man you already see in me." Zara's vows were equally raw. "You humiliated me once. Then you spent months proving you were more than that moment. You gave me a job, safety, love, and partnership. You let me change you. I promise to never let you forget who you are beneath the empire. A man who keeps promises to his mother, who protects the vulnerable, who loves with terrifying devotion." They kissed as husband and wife, and the small gathering erupted in applause. At the reception, Khan gave a toast. "I've known the boss for 10 years. I've seen him build an empire, destroy enemies, and command absolute loyalty. But I've never seen him happy until Zara. She's not his weakness. She's his humanity." To the couple. To the couple. Everyone echoed. Late that night, alone in their penthouse, Hyun-ki and Zara stood on the balcony overlooking Seoul. Do you ever regret it? Hyun-ki asked. Staying with a criminal? Every day, Zara admitted. Then she smiled. But I regret the idea of life without you more. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. She turned in his arms. We're going to do good things together, Hyun-ki. Change this world from the inside. 1 year later, the cultural center had expanded to 3 locations. The job training program had placed over 100 former criminals in legitimate work. Crime in Min territories had dropped 40%. The empire still ran, still made money, but with a new code: minimize harm, protect the community, build as well as control. Zara stood in the newest center, watching former gang members teach art to neighborhood kids. Hyun-ki appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Your program is working, he murmured. Our program. Zara leaned back against him. I couldn't do any of this without your resources and protection. I couldn't have imagined any of this before you. He turned her to face him. You know what I was thinking about today? What? That night at the hotel. If I could go back, knowing what I know now, I'd still spill that champagne. Zara laughed. Really? Because that humiliation set everything in motion. You calling me out. Me becoming obsessed. Us finding each other. He kissed her softly. I'm not proud of who I was, but I'm grateful it led me to who I am now. And who are you now? Zara asked. A better man. A man trying to build instead of just destroy. A man obsessed with his wife in the best possible way. Hyun-ki smiled. The Korean Mafia boss who learned that sometimes the person you hurt can become the person who saves you. Zara kissed him, pouring a year of love, growth, and transformation into it. Around them, former criminals taught children. Communities thrived. An empire built on blood slowly became one that also built hope. All because a powerful man had humiliated a maid, and she'd refused to let him forget he could be better. Now they were better together. The end.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, drop a comment, and share with someone who'd love this story. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next story.